Researchers have, inspired by the efficient foraging behavior of a single-celled amoeba, developed an analog computer for finding a reliable and swift solution to the traveling salesman problem, a representative combinatorial optimization problem.
An analysis of 10 different species finds that humans, followed by ferrets and to a lesser extent cats, civets, and dogs, are the most susceptible animals to SARS-CoV-2 infection.
A single protein is a master regulator of mouse muscle function during aging. A new study finds blocking this protein increased muscle strength and endurance in old animals. It may play a role in age-related muscle weakening in humans.
The global collapse of frogs and other amphibians due to the amphibian chytrid fungus exacerbated malaria outbreaks in Costa Rica and Panama during the 1990s and 2000s, according to new research. The findings provide the first evidence that amphibian population declines have directly affected human health and show how preserving biodiversity can benefit humans as well as local ecosystems.
Mass extinctions of land-dwelling animals, including amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and birds, follow a cycle of about 27 million years, coinciding with previously reported mass extinctions of ocean life, according to a new analysis.
The provision of accurate and authoritative statistical information strengthens our society. It provides a basis for decisions to be made on public policy, such as determining electoral boundaries and where to locate schools and hospitals. It also allows businesses to know their market, grow their business, and improve their marketing strategies by targeting their activities appropriately. It is precisely in observing the intertwinings of success and failure that chasing the flame makes its greatest mark. With piercing insight and relentless logic, reveals the pitfalls of international politics and details an intricate struggle between individual and institution. It haunts us with the poignant truth that even a great man can do only so much to reinvent the world.
The asteroid that slammed into the moon 3.8 billion years ago, creating the Imbrium Basin, may have had a diameter of at least 150 miles, according to a new estimate. The work helps explain puzzling geological features on the moon's near side and has implications for understanding the evolution of the early solar system.
The United States is at present the world's market for motor cars and trucks, an agent for the Bureau of Foreign and Domestic Commerce reports a prosperous condition of affairs prevailing in Japan, which is buying more automobiles, especially large cars, than ever before.
Not in vain, brain stimulation is having its heyday, as scientists and hobbyists alike look for ways to change the activity of neurons without cutting into the brain and implanting electrodes. Next, the researchers wanted to figure out how much current they needed to apply to the human scalp to produce those electrical fields inside the brain.
When we put toast in the toaster or add marshmallows to the top of our sweet potatoes for a big holiday dish, we expect them to turn brown and to develop a sweet, caramelized flavor. Although we expect it to happen, do you know why certain foods take on these new colors and flavors as they are toasted?
This flu season is a particularly severe one, and it's not over yet. Health officials say flu activity will likely remain elevated for at least several more weeks. But if you already caught the flu, are you in the clear for the rest of the season?
The disease model remains dominant in the U because of its stakeholders. First, the rehab industry, worth an estimated $35 billion per year, is the disease nomenclature in a vast majority of its ads and slogans. Despite consistently low success rates, that's not likely to stop because it pulls in the cash. Second, as long as addiction is labeled a disease, medical insurance providers can be required to pay for it. Normally, if we spin around in an office chair and suddenly stop, we feel like we're still moving. That's because fluid in the inner ear responsible for detecting movement continues to whirl around to inertia, making your brain think it's still in motion.
Roughly 1 million sexually transmitted infections are exchanged each day. If untreated, they can lead to cervical cancer, pelvic inflammatory disease, and infertility. However, people are often reluctant to ask the doctors to test for such infections. So Eve Medical in Toronto developed a kit for women to screen themselves. The curriculum for the Masters in Business Administration has been specifically crafted to help you advance your career or even manage your own business. Students will learn how to position organizations for a competitive advantage, manage team collaboration, and formulate effective business strategies. Our curriculum has been developed by top-notch academic leadership to help students succeed.
Studying history helps us understand how events in the past made things the way they are today. Events in the past have displaced families and groups, changing the makeup of regions and often causing tensions. Such events have also created government systems that have lasted generations beyond when they started. And all of it affects each person alive today.
Getting enough water every day is important for your health. Drinking water can prevent dehydration, a condition that can cause unclear thinking, result in mood change, cause your body to overheat, and lead to constipation and kidney stones. Water has no calories, so it can also help with managing body weight and reducing calorie intake when substituted for drinks with calories, such as sweet tea or regular soda.
Demand for natural gas has grown internationally in recent years, in part because it has a smaller carbon footprint than coal and other fossil fuels. In Singapore, where the government has promoted increased use of natural gas, consumption has grown about ninfold in recent decades. In some places, natural gas consumption has expanded as public opinion has turned against nuclear power.
Today, most American citizens over the age of 18 are entitled to vote in federal and state elections. But voting was not always a right for all Americans, because the Constitution did not specifically say who could vote. This question was largely left to the states in the 1800s. While no longer explicitly excluded, voter suppression is a problem in many parts of the country. It isn't rare for private equity houses to hire grads fresh out of business school, he said, but 9 times out of 10, the students who nab these jobs are the ones who had private equity experience under their belt before even starting their MBA program.
Surprisingly, despite what appear to be infinite variations, all difficult conversations share a common structure. When you're caught up in the details and anxiety of a particular difficult conversation, this structure is hard to see, but understanding that structure is essential to improve how you handle your most challenging conversations.
Japan's parliament tightened limits on overtime hours, responding to concerns about karoshi, or death by overwork, and seeking to improve productivity in a country where long hours are more accustomed than business necessity.
Australian workplaces are increasingly suffering from depression, anxiety, and stress. According to a large study, Mental Health in Corporate Australia, mental illness appears to have increased by a third in the last decade. Depression is now the primary mental health disorder.
YouTube has banned videos that show people how to manufacture or modify guns and their accessories. It had already banned videos linked to the sale of guns and accessories. Many firearms enthusiasts noticed that some of their videos had been removed from the video sharing website and some had their channels suspended.
How do we imagine the unimaginable if we are asked to think of an object, say, a yellow tulip? A picture immediately forms in our mind's eye. But what if we try to imagine a concept such as the square root of a negative number?
The racial and identity politics were subtle and complex, but real and in full operation every day. The target of racial jokes changed erratically, and the cruelty would vary depending on the target's position in the coolness hierarchy at school.
Our field teams have come across fish in distress or even eels stranded, and it is simply that the waters got too hot. Often dissolved oxygen concentrations go down as water temperature increases, and animals may seek refuge outside the water, or, in fact, they may be stranded if the water's evaporating very quickly.
For example, students might try to enroll for the free year despite having previously studied and therefore being ineligible. The report said the government held no records of study from before 2003 in order to verify eligibility, meaning it would have to rely on students' declarations.
A Dutch consortium has developed an electrical bicycle that prevents elderly people from falling. The smart assistive bicycle, called Sophie, increases stability by, amongst others, a drive-off assistance and by automatically lowering the saddle at low speeds.
Shoppers hoping to bag a bargain in the post-Christmas sales are much less likely to go through with their purchases if they are using phones and tablets to buy goods online.
Online students who use the innovative robots feel more engaged and connected to the instructor and students in the classroom. The first ever study of a pioneering robot learning course shows. Exercise can reverse damage to sedentary, aging hearts and help prevent risk of future heart failure if it's enough exercise and if it's begun in time, according to a new study by cardiologists. So why not switch on those interferons 24/7 in humans? Well, in us, They also tend to cause lots of inflammation and cell damage. Like the symptoms you feel from the flu, a lot of that is your immune system's fault. But the key might be to do as the bats do.
The uniquely scented flavor of vanilla is second only to chocolate in popularity on the world's palate. It's also the second most expensive spice after saffron. But highly labor-intensive cultivation methods in the plant's temperamental life cycle and propagation mean production on a global scale is struggling to keep up with the increasing demand for the product.
Throughout history, Stanford medicine has been home to cutting-edge medical advances, including the first successful adult human heart transplant in the United States and the first combined heart-lung transplant in the world. Stanford School of Medicine is the West Coast's oldest medical school and worldwide leader in patient care, education, and innovation.
Sportsmanship comes in many forms and helps make competitive games fun and enjoyable. It fosters good habits and positive life skills both in and out of sports games, and is an important life skill for people of all ages. It is also key to becoming a mature, respectful, and successful adult.
Contemporary scholars who study scientific methodology are often frustrated by the implication that science is logically falsifiable. The problem is that scientists can always make excuses to avoid falsifying a claim. The discovery of Neptune is a famous case. Astronomers had noticed irregularities in the orbit of Uranus. One possibility was that these irregularities violated the theory currently used to explain planetary motion, and that this theory should be rejected.
With our current situation and the state of the global economy, there is a much lower chance of landing a new job anytime soon, and it's unclear when social distancing measures will end or what shape the economy will be in when you are able to return to work.
Like other cognitive biases, implicit bias is a result of the brain's tendency to try to simplify the world. Because the brain is constantly inundated with more information than it could conceivably process, mental shortcuts make it faster and easier for the brain to sort through all of this data.
It is important to note that even good stress can lead to spikes in blood sugar levels. Mental and physical stress, such as worrying about your job or getting sick, can create negative stress. But even positive or exciting events, like riding on a roller coaster or winning an award, can create stress on your mind and body.
Psychology, both an applied and academic field that benefits both individuals and society as a whole. A large part of psychology is devoted to the diagnosis and treatment of mental health issues, but that is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the impact of psychology.
For a lunar eclipse to occur, the Sun, Earth, and Moon must be roughly aligned in a line. Otherwise, the Earth cannot cast a shadow on the Moon's surface and an eclipse cannot take place. When the three bodies are aligned in a way that the Moon is partly covered by the Earth's umbra, a partial lunar eclipse is the result. See.
As of Friday, Musk and Twitter had given no public notice of the coming layoffs, according to a spokesperson for California's Employment Development Department. That's even though the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification statute requires employers with at least 100 workers to disclose layoffs involving 500 or more employees, regardless of whether a company is publicly traded or privately held. The blame for overconsumption should not and cannot be placed solely on individuals. Companies and corporations have a vested interest in making you buy more stuff because if they don't, they go bankrupt. This is why slap green labels onto their products and advertise everywhere. Indeed, the whole idea of a personal carbon footprint is a propaganda campaign created by a fossil fuel giant.
For as long as society has existed, we've understood the role of surrounding influences on our decision-making, with idioms like "it takes a village to raise a child and you are the product of your environment." We understand that to a great extent our upbringing, our parents and the society we grew up in influence our decision-making process.
Lions and lionesses play different roles in the life of the prey. The lionesses work together to hunt and help rear the cubs. This allows them to get the most from their hard work, keeping them healthier and safer. Being smaller and lighter than males, lionesses are more agile and faster.
But like other low-impact exercises, yoga reliably improves fitness and flexibility in healthy populations. The practice has also been shown to be a potentially powerful therapeutic tool. In studies involving patients with a variety of skeletal disorders, yoga was more helpful at reducing pain and improving mobility than other forms of low-impact exercise.
Someone who looks extremely active, whose day is filled from morning till night, who is always running to answer messages and meet clients may appear the opposite of lazy, but secretly, there may be a lot of avoidance going on beneath the outward frenzy. Busy people can evade a different order of undertaking.
The term core competence described a diversified corporation as a large tree. The core products are the trunk and major limbs. The business units are smaller branches, and the end products are the leaves. The core competence is the root system that provides nourishment and stability. It's essentially what your organization knows about coordinating production and technology.